Sayan.
Thank you. Thank you, Shagarika, for organizing the Coexistence Consortium, Coexistence in Practice seminar once again. And it's a pleasure and an honor to introduce Shayun, who is a very, very close friend, colleague, collaborator. Shayun has had a very interesting career, and at the cost of embarrassing him, that I have to tell you his background. He is actually an engineer in metallurgy from Jadavpur University, and I think he was the topper in his class. And then he went on to join Tata Steel, if I'm right, in Jamshedpur, where he worked for 3 years, and then got bitten by the environment bug. And so he joined the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Guwahati, where he joined this course in, I think, in ecological sustainability and conservation. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact title of the course. And then he was a topper there as well. And then I was lucky, I was fortunate that he came to join me for his PhD. And of course, as you possibly know, his work at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, from where he graduated with his degree in March this year. He explored how behavioral and political ecologies intersect to develop specific life worlds for both people and Asian elephants at what he calls the forest-farm-plantation interface in Bodoland. Apart from his interest in human-wildlife relations, Shayan has been very deeply interested and has worked on various issues pertaining to conservation governance, conservation and development, gender studies, environment and development, mainly, of course, in India. He has published extensively in various journals across a whole gamut, actually, of research areas, and he has been, of late, a board member with the Social Science Working Group, as well as the Asia chapter of the Society of Conservation Biology. Of course, yeah, I've had such a wonderful time learning from Shayan. I didn't want to let him go. And so he's currently a postdoctoral associate in the Coexistence Studies Group at the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, TDU, in Bangalore. So welcome, Shayan, to this group, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, everyone. And yes, we definitely shall talk about the introduction. It's quite a long introduction. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this lovely group, and I'm very much excited to deliver this kind of talk. It The talk is from my PhD work, and before going to my particular lecture, so I would like to tell one thing that currently we are having a little bit of power outages every now and then. So if I go off, don't worry, I haven't gone anywhere else. I will be coming back. So yeah, so I'll just share my screen to start off the talk. And let me know when you see the
Yes.
PPT in
I
the
can see you,
full
but
form.
uh, could you go to the full screen mode? It isn't there yet.
It's in the full screen mode. If
Ah,
you
yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Right. So also just just to save on some bandwidth, I will also probably uh, turn off my video so that I can just use the audio part. Yeah. Yeah. So let me know again if it is visible or not, the full screen.
It is. It is. It is sure.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. So I'll talk about kind of a conservation intervention, which is in the form of solar electric fence that was installed in a place in Assam, which I will talk about, and how that particular fence, played out in the lives of people and elephants after its installation. So uh, I'm currently a research associate at the Coexistence Studies Group, and I'm sure that this talk will kind of make you reflect on not only conflict coexistence conundrum, but also on conservation itself, right? So just to give you a hint of where this work was situated, it is in Assam, the Bodoland part of Assam, in the district of Udalguri, and where I was looking, I was kind of employing ethnographic research along with studies, along with a small component of looking at elephant behavior, archival work, and GIS to track the life worlds of the humans and elephants who often interact along with each other in various kinds of habitats outside forest, inside forest. And my major focus was outside the forest area, which is farm plantation landscape. And here the plantation is majorly tea plantation, which was built by the British, and which is still continuing by the Indian companies. So this particular landscape is an intermix of reserve forests, one wildlife sanctuary, and farming and farmlands and plantations, as well as riverine tracts. So so here uh, here elephants go everywhere, and people meet them everywhere, right? So I looked at their interactions in what we call as a more than human political ecology lens, where we looked at how political ecology and more than human geography, the that is how power in terms of uh, hierarchies within the human society, as well as uh, elephants as a political actor, affects these interactions in their own ways, right? So yeah, so what we found, it's a kind of I will give a kind of background of what kind of lives people and elephants are leading in these landscapes. So elephants were supposed to be, following a corridor from Kalingdo Reserve Forest and Bonodi Wildlife Sanctuary, which you can see in the see in the map, which is in the north and west. So they're supposed to go straight from Kalingdo across along the border between Assam and Bhutan and go to Bonodi. But as you can see here, they don't do that. So they use a lot of entry-exit points in these forests and come out and stay outside these forest areas for almost 8 to 9 months, hopping between tea estates, crisscrossing riverine tracts and fallow lands and everything. So here, if you can see, the blue polygons are big, large tea estates owned by various companies. There are this red colored polygons, which are fallow areas, and many other things. And the elephants, what they have done is they stitched the whole landscape through their own geographic sense. They use these entry-exit points across the forest areas and uh, follow the riverine tracks or the land routes to go to these tea estates, stay there for months. And again, if they are removed from those tea estates, they go to another one by following some certain kinds of pathways. So they have their wilderness, their wildness, or the what people called a bonoria hathi, or the elephant of the forest, has become a kind of a village elephant, or a kind of gaunlia. So it's a hybrid animal that we are seeing in the Anthropocene, right? So I'm going to give you a vignette of where I'm trying to say here is that one fine morning in the month of, I think, July, in Udalguri. So I was attending one session arranged by the one of the prominent conservation NGOs in that area, along with the community members of that area, on a typical awareness session about elephants and conservation, etc. So the conservationist raised a question about where Asian elephants were found, and before anyone could respond, he added that they are found in the forests and adjoining grasslands. Almost immediately, a middle-aged man from the village raised his hand and interrupted the conservationist, and he loudly proclaimed that elephants are found in the villages. This sudden interruption and unexpected nature of the response broke the silence of the room, and as if on cue, other villagers also said that, yes, yes, very true. Elephants are now found in the villages, inside houses, and in the agricultural fields. And they did not stop. They basically added further that uh, there is nothing in the forest. Why would the elephant stay there? The wild elephant house has now become a villager. This barrage of completely unexpected perspective made the presenter lose track for a brief moment, but he quickly composed himself to continue with his presentation and he talked about how to conserve this quote-unquote wild or the Bonoria elephant. Interestingly, the presentation did not return to the question of the Gaolia or the villager elephant, right? So this is how people also see that how lives of elephants are also changing, and they are creating their own life in this land. Now, with this alongside this kind of life of these elephants, people have also adjusted their own life and created understanding of how to live alongside these elephants. And I have published on this in quite a few places, and you can read them. So the crux is that people of this place have very intimate understanding of what constitutes conflict and coexistence. In summary, what I would like to say is that conflict and coexistence as binary doesn't exist for people. It's a dynamic kind of a state which oscillates between different emotions, different material aspects, and create a kind of a complex system where different kinds of attitude, behavior, and ways of being alongside these elephants exist at the same time. So it's very difficult to define the relation. So it's a kind of pluralistic relation that people have, a relational being, or a hybrid relation that is being produced through such kind of relations. So it goes beyond our own understanding of what is the definition of conflict or definition of coexistence. So here people don't define in stricter terms, but they describe of how to live alongside elephants, right? Having said that, both the species, both humans and elephants, employ their different kinds of senses from visual, audio, touch, and scent, and create understanding of the other species. So a lot of trial and error goes on how to adapt to one another, and they do a lot of spatial and temporal adjustments, also adjustments to their own work for both elephants and humans. For example, a common saying goes like this, that the morning belongs to the humans but the night belongs to the elephants, which kind of describes the whole situation, that the elephants become more mobile in the night time when they move from the tea estates across the riverine areas to forage on crops. But in the morning, they get immobile within the tea estates, and the people are more mobile and they do their own work. We see that based on class, ethnicity, gender, a lot of adjustments of livelihood also takes place to maintain safety around elephants. Even in the elephant world also, we can see difference in movement or in social interactions depending upon age and sex. So the point is to make these sensorial geographies to convert them into sensible geographies, where the sensibility comes from just to be safe and survive alongside each other. So a lot of mutual adaptations are happening, and these adaptations are mutually forced but mutually agreed upon. So we have even though human kind of maps are overlapping with elephant maps, but they have their own adjustments, and these are all mutually kind of agreed upon. So any breakage in this rhythm is basically results into unwanted incidences like injuries, deaths, or any other kinds of negative interactions, right? So having said that, so now the whole elephant conservation thing comes into picture with this background, that elephant conservation in Assam today, what I suggest is based on kind of ontological multiple, where the various actors with their own views come into the picture and creates their own notion of how to conserve elephants or what to do with the elephants and the people. It is noteworthy that unlike tigers and other charismatic mammals in Assam, there is a tacit understanding among the human actors of conservation that separating the wild and the villager elephant is a difficult proposition. So given that both elephants and humans have developed significant adaptations alongside each other for over the past centuries, conservation actions for elephants need to be now extended from strictly animal spaces of elephant reserve or protected areas to beastly spaces, which also uh, will comprise human habitations, workplaces where elephants will be staying, I mean, alongside humans. So in the early 2000s, several human-elephant conflict mitigation projects were pioneered in Assam, predominantly by regional and national conservation NGOs in partnership with the local communities. Apart from conservation outreach measures, a major portion of such interventions included provisioning of materials for various mitigation actions. These materials included early warning systems like ropes, bells, alarms, solar fencing like wires, energizer panels, etc., crop guarding shelters, concrete posts, corrugated sheets, light and sound emitters like crackers, torchlights, etc. Such interventions are still continued across Assam by various NGOs. These materials are supposed to be used in the human space of the village or crop fields to guide elephants not to transgress into these spaces. The effectiveness of these methods has, however, varied and appears to be depending on how well the local communities have managed to manage them, right? Now, what are conservation materials? So what if we ask the question that how political ecologies of human-elephant relations in Assam could potentially be described if we analyze the role of materials connected to conservation in mediating political and social relations in the landscape. These technology-centric conflict mitigation materials are not politically inert, but the question of material or matter is not new in political ecology. We have talked about various kinds of technologies to make sense of how the the political life is changing or the social life is changing in the backdrop of ecological changes, including human wildlife interactions. So a very common, but if we can give an example of such materials are these. So various kinds of digital technologies uh, that are high tech and deployed across the world for various purposes. So currently, the current crop of geographic thinking about conservation materials has provided newer kind of thoughts around these materials of that kind of various tracking and surveillance technologies such as radio or satellite telemetry device, camera traps, video cameras, acoustic sensors, or any kind of GIS tools that they enforce the conservation regime by demarcating spaces and territories and making human and animal life as measurable and taking actions according to those measures, either to safeguard or not, right? So in the similar vein, very recent scholarship on camera traps has provided a study that which showed that different technologies like camera traps and drones which are generally deployed for monitoring wildlife populations, can also be extended by the state and the non-state agencies to unethically monitor certain human populations. Also, another study on camera traps, which is supposed to be a non-invasive agent to capture wildlife numbers or their behaviors. The paper is arguing that they are really not non-invasive, and deployment of those kinds of materials are fundamentally life-altering for the other than human individuals or suppose, for example, the elephants who encounters these traps. When they see those camera traps or these machines or materials, their life changes fundamentally. But there are a lot of other kinds of material which are not really that high tech. These are like very crude, very basic, which are very prominently used across conflict mitigation techniques. For example, torch lights, for example, crackers, even with lemons. Lemon saplings are now widely used in Assam which are used as kind of biofence. So so I so what I would say that such kind of unsophisticated conservation materials also, they're technically simple, but they're also techno-managerial. In other words, these materials are deployed as a formulaic measure to handle conservation issues, which are treated as linear technical problems such as human-elephant conflict mitigation. However, the idea that such conservation materials could also be considered agents and actants present alongside humans and other than humans affecting conservation politics, it requires a lot more attention. in this talk, I would go to a particular material which is now being deployed quite heavily across Assam, which is the solar electric fencing. So solar electric fencing is the most used conflict mitigation technique across Assam. So people have already experimented with early warning systems such as trip alarms, improved crop guarding shelters, torchlights, and other barriers. But what people have found here that this is the one material or one technique that is yielding results, at least in the short term. Now the results are basically reduction of say injuries or deaths of humans in particular areas which are fenced, and also probably this is also resulting in reduction of death of elephants through electrocution. So solar fencing was first tested and tried in Africa in 1990s, and slowly in early 2000 it came to India, and it was first experimented in Gwalpara and Sonitpur through a project called Assam Hathi Project, and which used the electric fencing alongside other methods, but it proved to be the most successful. So also moving beyond the material effects of reducing, say, death or injury or crop foraging or house damage, etc., a leading conservationist in Assam also asserted that at least farmers are now being able to sleep properly and not go to drive elephants out every night, to highlight the positive effects of the solar fencing on farmers' physical and mental well-being. It is due to these perceived successes in handling conflict that most conservation organizations in Assam are now widely deploying such fences across Assam. I mean, if you go through the newspaper articles, I'm sure you will find in every fortnight or even every month, there will be 2-3 news articles on fencing being deployed. So just to give you an idea how this works is basically solar electric fencing consists of an assembly of an electromechanic material such as solar panels, solar batteries, charge controllers, energizers, insulators, lightning diverters, fence posts, earthing rods, clamps, and wires. This fence is energized through electricity generated through solar energy, and the resultant voltage and alternating pulses is high enough without being lethal to send a momentary shock through the elephant body. The shock, it is anticipated, should create an experience-based psychological aversion in the elephant to not touch the same fence again, and thereby, hopefully, they would be reluctant to forage on crops and visit houses in the villages protected by the fence. So this is kind of a schematic that the current fences follow. That but if you think that I mean, most of the fences are very heavily designed through multiple strands and kind of thick wires and all, but it's not. It's really a simple fence, like which mostly looks like this. It has this fence posts created from bamboo and whatever available material is there in the villages, and mostly it's a single strand fence, but some places they also use double strand, and it's only a thin wire that goes across the villages. So it's a very simple and a very low-tech design that people are using, and somehow this is creating a lot of positive effect on reducing damages for both the species. So in Udalguri, as I said, this map is old because it only shows some red areas which are being fenced, which right now there are more. So this red kind of areas are solar fenced areas, and the fencing is kind of NGO facilitated and community managed. So I'll talk about it, and this is a kind of a on the right hand bottom. This is kind of what it looks like. So it is around agricultural field as well as the houses, and it encloses a village. It is not at the border of the forest. The deployment of solar electric fence in Assam thus follows 3 major premises. That given the high initial cost and technical knowledge required to install these fences by the local communities, it is a common practice that conservation actors like the NGOs or the forest department provide the materials and technical know-how to the community. And in return, the community members are expected to provide labor to install this fence as per the approved design and to maintain the fence in the future. It is further expected that the community would devise governance mechanisms for regular maintenance of the fence, such as development of participation regimes, management committee formation, as well as regular payment, maintenance, and material replacement schedules. Second, instead of putting the fence at the forest boundary or within elephant movement areas, the fence is installed around human properties such as village houses or crop fields. This is done to ensure the elephants find a safe passage through the supposedly human space without causing difficulty in people's lives. Third, such solar electric fences, which combine the provision of electrical and ancillary materials by external actors and labor and non-electrical materials such as fence posts by the local community, make the local community part owner in the process of establishing the fence. As one leading conservationist in Assam put it, community members should feel ownership over the fence. If everything is given for free, then they will not value it. But if we create a system where the villagers also provide certain materials or labor, then they can feel the fence is theirs, not ours. Ultimately, after installation, we tell them that the fence is now community property and not NGO property. So creating material stake in the conservation intervention is thus seen as effective participation measure for the local community. So the ontological underpinning of this intervention is aimed at tolerance building towards wild elephants amongst the local communities, or in the conservationist language, securing human lives to secure elephant lives. At this juncture, the solar electric fencing elevates from a simple electrical assembly to a community-based solar electric fencing, wherein the local community is supposed to become a partner in this endeavor of long-term elephant conservation in the region. Right. So I'll now, or if such fences come and being deployed, so how does this affect both human and elephant lives? Because, and this is now this becomes interesting because most of the interventions stop at installing the fence, and I mean hardly they basically also look up what is happening, say after the installation, in say in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, etc. Now it has become community's property, so community should take care of it. And now what is happening across for the elephants as well as the humans, it becomes a question for others. So yeah, so what we see here is that the villages where the fences were put up were particularly vulnerable to elephant-related problems, and due to this close proximity of these villages to the forest, uh, these fences worked wonderfully to stop elephant incursion. So it became quite clear that from our observation, it became quite clear that the larger herds and even the smaller all-male groups or loner bulls were actively avoiding these fences. The people in the villages informed that during the first month following the installation of the fences, the alarms connected to the circuits rang almost every day, mainly during the early morning and the evening, an indication that the elephants were touching the fence wires only to get a shock or a jhatka, as the villagers put it. I, on my part, observed that the frequently used elephant entry-exit points in the villages had fresh elephant dung, disturbed vegetation, or feeding signs almost every day, just outside the fence, signifying that elephants were trying to make sense of this new actant in their lives. Within a few months, however, these signs, along with the blaring of the alarm, reduced in frequency, informing the villagers that elephants were coming to terms with this reordering. The human intentionality of making elephants feel unwelcome to their villages was now flowing through the elephant bodies in the form of jhatka. Gradually, instead of roaming through the villages, the elephants started taking other routes, all outside the fenced area. The same patterns of movement continued to exist at least till last year. However, jhatka did not always work as intended. The elephants were directly or indirectly sensing and getting to know these fences, and the presence or absence of electricity in them soon became a point of decision making for them. While the herds almost completely evaded these fences, a few male individuals, majorly Maknas, began to interact with these fences more. And there are a lot of examples that I have of Maknas breaking these fences in particular points, the points being regular entry-exit points for the elephants. And so what I argue here is that the intended reordering of elephant lives through the repeated jhatka received was successfully subverted by these few individual Maknas who imposed their own intentionality of going back to the previous ordering of their life. Over time, however, the fence was broken thrice in 2022 and 5 times in 2023 at 2 specific points, both frequently used by elephants. Every time the fence breaker was a Makna. The fence post was invariably uprooted either by its lifting with the trunk or by it pushing, by it being pushed down with a leg. And when the villagers put in extra wire to electrify the fence post further, individual elephants used thin logs or tree branches to short circuit the fence and subsequently bring it down. It was difficult to ascertain if the actor was the same Makhna or is a different kind, different other individuals. But clearly, there was experiential learning that had taken place among these individuals to impose their will upon the people. All the other fenced villages had similar experiences subsequently. When individual male elephants, interestingly, all of them Makhna, broke down the respective fences at specific sites. Even though some individual male elephants were creating trouble for the people, the overall crop and house damage decreased in these fence villages to a great extent, mainly due to the abandonment of raiding by the large herds. There were multiple instances where the villagers and I also observed herds with sizes ranging from 20 to 70 individuals congregating near the fence wires, locking their gaze on the wire and sensing it indirectly with raised trunks and erect ears. However, unlike Maknas, they decided either to stay near the village without interacting with the fence or move away further distances towards other villages or tea estates. It thus became evident that all these intended attempts to reduce the Gaulianess or the villagerness of these elephants were short-lived and only limited to the fenced villages. A number of villagers from both the fenced and unfenced villages thus asserted that you can never obstruct elephants. Baba will make his own way. They call elephant Baba. They have learned how to break the electric fencing within just a few days. If you try to stop them here, they will enter elsewhere. This unique conservation material, solar electric fencing, gradually became a permanent actant in the elephants' lives, a frenemy to learn from and live with, if only to subvert the human intentions flowing as current through those fences in search of their own sustenance. Now, much like physical or digital infrastructure, this benign solar electric fence abruptly shifted elephantine world making. The embodied understanding that of the flow of currents, shock waves, and the momentary pain made the elephants come to terms with the new subject, an apparently non-living structure enlivened with the earnest human desire to keep the elephants on the other side. Active subversion as well as adaptations to these regimes of conservation is widespread. Lethal control, translocation, and detasking have been applied to African and Asian elephants to stop them from foraging on crops across access to resources in human areas. But we have seen that behavioral adaptations across not only for elephants but also for other kinds of animals, including primates, wolves, etc. They have found their own ways. Sorry. These examples of the elephants of Udalguri amply demonstrated that the futility of the assumptions that animal behavior is static and homogeneous and that wild lives would return to the performance of idealized animal behavior if they are provided with ideal habitats. Clearly, these embodied responses of these individuals are far from ideal. The elephantine lives thus appear to be direct responses to the changes ensued by the making and unmaking of relations between the local political economies as well as these conservation interventions and the elephant society. Right. So if things are happening with such things are happening with the elephants, what is happening with the people? Now, as I said, these fences or these conservation materials create chains of events, some are intended, some are much unintended in people's lives. So the question of how does the solar fence work? It was deliberated between the NGO members as well as the local community, and the goal of this deliberation was to make the local community understand the technical know-how of the fence, because it was quite challenging for individuals in the community to understand the whole circuit diagram and all those complex diagrams and the videos of how the fence work and etc. So even though the videos and the lectures assured the villagers that the fence would work, the people remained apprehensive of whether the electricity flowing through the fence would convert into an actual or perceived sense of safety or not. They said that we will know later if it works or not. It was the general mood of people in the village to of kind of being apprehensive of the whole effort. Another person said that this is a government material the government has given to us, and it was claimed by many people in the village and at different times in the post-installation phase. Many of these people had attended the NGO meetings, but did not see a difference between the NGO and the involved government department. When I tried to clarify it was actually an NGO, the common reply was, I don't know about that. It is an achievement that we have received this thing. And further, on probing with the word received or got, or which in Assamese it's paisu, uh, one person said that that now we will do development. We have brought roads, drinking water, houses, and bathrooms in the last 10 years. The fencing has come now. We need to stay connected to the government. Only then things will come. Otherwise, how will it happen? Others will take it. The fencing has come. Now our committee will arrange a meeting here with the villagers for doing more farming. We will do development. These were not fringe perspectives, but a common one among many other respondents in the village, who considered the fence as an important development infrastructure that had come up in the village. The fence was treated as a public good, but provided by public representatives, similar to schools or roads and even latrine bathrooms. The NGO literally became a kind of government department. The fence was also an emotional site for the villagers that which went beyond the material effects. The current flowed through the wires, enmeshed in the warmth of happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, excitement, fear, anxiety, and acceptance, amongst many other emotions. One person said that I have worked so hard in my life. I was so depressed. Now I am feeling a bit happy after the fence was installed. While experiencing a paddy season for the first time, another person mentioned that now I am feeling so free. There is no tension. I can go and come back with my villages in the night, with my friends in the night. Earlier, I had to come back to my home before 5 in the evening. Now there is no tension, even if it is 12 in the night. So many people have lost their close ones to elephants. And whenever I interviewed them after the installation of the fences, they fixed their gaze at the place where their kin was killed, and with a sense of acceptance, sadness, and anger, they said that if the fence had been installed earlier, they would not have lost their relatives. Whatever had happened, however, could not be undone, but their fellow villagers would not be killed by elephants again due to the coming up of the fence. Farmers expressed their joy that, along with reduction in damage, they were now able to sleep properly, as they did not have to keep awake all night to guard crops or face elephants in dangerous situation. One person said that हम अभी नाक में तेल लगा के सो रहे हैं, which means that I am sleeping most peacefully now. Instances of fence breakage and surprise crop and house damages by Makhanas within the fenced areas, however, continue to impose sense of anxiety, fear, and hopelessness with the solar electric fence. I think it will not be successful, wondered a person who is a school teacher there. She also added that people had agreed to the fence with a lot of hope. But what will happen if the elephants entered through the fence? The pain that people suffered will go in vain. Bringing the elephants agency into the picture, many respondents commented that elephants, or Baba, is a clever animal. He has learned in so few days how to enter through the fence. It enters now. If it enters now, it will destroy everything. People will not be able to find a place to run away. Baba will be so angry. If it comes near the fencing and sounds grr, grr, its anger has no limits. Many wondered if it was a wrong decision to install a fence, because the elephants would now be more desperate to break the fence out of hunger. After the successful operation of the fence for 2 years, nevertheless, such emotions continued to persist in the village. The fence was also, for me at least, was a portal to see how rural life was changing. Participation of a significant number of individuals from the village was a key for the NGOs to set up a successful fence. They always kind of imposed a emphasis on the community that we need the public to come out to work on the fence. The public is main. As per their wish, the fence will function. The public needs to be mobilized themselves for the fence. This emphasis on public was ubiquitous. This also percolated into the local community's parlance about the potential success of the fence. The villagers have to come out now. They always used to say it was a common emotion. However, the attendance during the initial stages and the meetings were very high. However, attrition followed, and subsequent meetings had far less attendance. In each village, only 20 to 25 known faces appeared in the meetings, out of which 9 to 12 were already fencing management committee members. The actual physical installation too hit multiple roadblocks when either the fence posts were not ready in time or most of the villagers remained absent during the installation. And it made the NGOs almost kind of a make a threatening gesture that if the public does not understand the importance of the fence, uh, we will take the fence to other village. Now, this fencing committee members now become become more uh, straightforward to the villagers, and kind of they lectured the whole village that this is a village, this is not a city. We need to keep ourselves in the village, and if we are not united, we will not get this done. After this whole kind of material emotional assertions by the committee members, the public quickly got into action, and the fence was installed in 2 days. So, and the fences had their respective committees, and they passed resolution that the future management of fences will be done through kind of public by making a corpus fund where every household will contribute at least 30 to 40 rupees each month, so that a watchman or a chowkidar can be employed from the village itself, who will get a salary of 3,000 to 4,000 for daily maintenance of the village. Now, this financial contribution was well enough in the initial months of the functioning of the fence. However, it fell. When I asked about the reduction in the contribution from the households, the committee members again put the blame on the public, that they were not putting any importance of the fence and the meetings as well. They specifically put the blames on today's youth, or Ajikali Loraswali, and claimed that they were not interested in village affairs, meetings, or any collective work, due to which there was a general attrition in the quality and nature of the village life than before. This attrition, they further claimed, that was directly responsible for the compromised maintenance of the fence. Probing this perceived attrition of the quality of life in the village, my various conversations with the younger members, as well as the regular absentees from the meetings, revealed a few points which I think is important. Is that one person said that I do not have time to go to all these meetings. Earlier, I used to do only farming. Whatever I could earn from the farming, I used to run my family. But these days, the income from farming is marginal, and I need to do many other work. I can thus go to a meeting only once. If I start going every meeting, how will I do my own work? So this was quite a ubiquitous assertion from many youth as well as farmers. One farmer said that everyone has 24 hours, but the poorer you are, the less time you have. In this distress, spending time in democratic deliberation seemed to be a luxury. However, the distress has caused the rural youth, mostly men and few women, to devise a counter strategy: migration to other cities and towns. Amongst my respondents and friends from this landscape, almost everyone had someone from their household who had migrated. Many of my respondents, especially in the age group of 25 to 40 years, whom I had met earlier, have now moved out to boost their incomes. Even the president of this fencing committee is now in Bangalore. So what they're saying is that for them, this fence did not mean a matter of supreme significance, and they treated it like the roads or the schools which the village generally get from the government. And it was a common emotion that the youth group, which is now have migrated, if they're not there, there is no one to take care of the whole village affairs and continue it with meetings and etc. Right? So what the fencing committee members, who are generally kind of more than 50 or 60 years of age, they see this attrition as a matter of problem, which is for the youth. The youth are saying that since we are not getting any kind of income support from the villages, we have to move out. So why bother about a fence in the village? It is a government property, and it will come. Now I'll the next 2 points, solidifying social legitimacy and gendered effects, I will just brush over. that this fence was also used as a infrastructure to solidify social legitimacy, not only for the conservation NGO, but also for some individuals in the community. The NGOs showed the success of these fences to further solidify their footprint in the landscape as a conservation actor, and created the whole conservation bandwagon, which followed alternate livelihood options, nursery, and many other awareness meetings, etc., which still goes on. Few members in the community also use this opportunity uh, to take up political opportunities. One person, uh, I mean, sent a message across various WhatsApp groups that he and his boss who was the then MLA of that area, brought this fence for the betterment of the people, and it was used as a political gimmick uh, uh, for the people. So even though the fence was nothing to do with politics of any kind, it was kind of treated as a political infrastructure. So now what we are seeing here is that even though the whole situation is driven by the community and the NGO, there is a third, almost shadowy but ubiquitous actor present, the government. It could be uh, they were never present during the installation or the signing request, or the any kind of phases of the installation of the fence, but the invocation of government's duties, action or inaction, were always put forward by the community. And it is because of the nature of state and community relation in our country, that where the state is the most powerful actor, even within the conservation sphere, which is a patron to all these people. So the fence is given by the government, and the maintenance or whatever happens with the fence is also government's duty. It's their property, and the people are only a kind of steward of that fence. So to understand conservation, we also need to understand uh, how the state and community relation takes place in a particular area, right? So lastly, what I wanted to tell that is that if the in the installation of the electric fencing, it created a lot of positive effects for the people, but people also questioned the fence afterwards, uh, that it did not really cater to elephants' needs. Uh, so the solar fence was definitely a reactive measure, a quick fix for an ever-expanding problem, which neither had any effect on the original causes of conflict, including, for example, ethnic tensions or crumbling forest governance, or nor on the political economic structures, which were changing the lives of rural people as well as the elephants. Such supposed technocratic solution to a social problem was not only apolitical, but also did not take local understanding of elephants and living alongside elephants into account. While it indeed have positive effects on reducing elephant-related damages at the fence sites, it also, in a way, shifted the problem elsewhere. The local people of Udalguri were no doubt largely benefited from the fence, but the subsequent observation of their own lives and that of elephant lives raised a new questions in their minds. That people were largely accommodative of the elephant's social and ecological requirements, and they considered that elephants to be a fellow marginalized being, wandering around to fulfill their survival needs as well. Many of my respondents from the fence village, for instance, contemplated that effects of the fence on the elephants' lives. As one said, the solar fence is fine, but what is there for the elephant? It still does not have a home. They wander here and there. They will keep wandering. It is true that they will not be able to feed on paddy in our village, but they will go to the other village. The situation will probably not change. Another said that if a fence is installed around my house, how would I go out? The same thing happened to Baba. The area is their home, and we have installed a fence around their home. If the fence causes them trouble, they will be angrier towards the people of this village. The government must do something for the elephants. The fencing has provided benefit to us only. If the government had made the forest, the Baba could have stayed there. So the people also understood the fencing as a temporary reactive measure that did not cater to not only to the elephant's need, but also deep-rooted reasons, which actually caused a lot of deforestation in the area in the 1990s. So one person said that it is true that the fence is working well for us, but why do we have to pay for it? We did not destroy the forest or cause harm to the elephants. Those who did are now in the government, and we feel like second-class citizens. There has been no development at all for us. They did not have to face the wrath of elephants. We did. Our houses were damaged. People were killed. We had to beg for compensation, which was our right. And now we need to pay to manage the fence. I hope the elephants go to these people and damage their houses. So here, so most of the people I interviewed upheld lack of justice in this electric fence-based intervention, a justice that should not have not only catered to the betterment of the groups marginalized at the hands of dominant ethnic communities, but also to the cause of the fellow elephants who had lost much of their peace due to ethnic conflict-driven loss of their homes. Interventions that can ensure reduction of the root causes of such historical injustices in their perspective would have been essential to rectify the problems that both the people and elephants were facing, as well as ensure the flourishing of both their lives. People contemplated punishing the actual perpetrators of deforestation in that area by the authorities, building peace among communities, and bringing similar development infrastructure and political representation for ethnic minorities at par with the dominant community, uh, as a kind of conservation measure rather than giving ex gratia or creating a reactive measure in the form of the fence. So what if we kind of bring all these things together? What we are seeing here that the fence does not remain only kind of electrical assembly. It becomes a community-based solar fencing, but also it creates repulses or ripples in the elephant lives and the human lives in across different kinds of chain events, which we do not really see after installation of those fences. We stop at conservation as a kind of installation of an intervention, but how exactly that intervention is creating changes in people's lives, or how it is, re kind of channelizing the whole human wildlife relation, or in our case human elephant relations, we need to see as well. So what we are trying to say here is that the solar electric fencing was a typical conservation material emerging from the politics of treating conservation as an assortment of services and solutions rather than as a root cause identifier. The situated agency of the fence was translated primarily through an uninterrupted flow of electricity, which symbolized not only the human desire to stay safe, but also the elephant's abilities to negotiate, learn, and practice, or even develop certain habits. Going beyond human life force, the political agency of conservation materials, in our case the fence, makes elephants an acute, observant participant in a changing world, as well as the humans. Uh, Effective relations between people and elephants, when mediated through solar fencing, provided us with a glimpse of how micropolitical events could shape, enforce, and break relations between the state, communities, NGOs, and the elephant. Thus, this ethnographic account of installation of a solar fence showed us that fencing, or solar fencing as material, was elevated from a state of which is characterized by constituent material properties to a material with dynamically produced affective qualities, the qualities that bound together reordering of space, rural lives, power, social relations, and multi-species justice. So, what I would like to say here is we should treat conservation materials as lively, as the qualities get enmeshed in co-producing human and animal worlds, thereby rechannelizing these relations in newer directions. So, this was my kind of presentation, and I'd like to thank everyone from the field, including all the elephants as well as the people with whom I worked, all the local field consultants, the Dhansi Forest Division in Assam, NIAS as well as TDU, Rufford, Inlax, and Idea Wild for giving me grants. RNN WWF India, whose fences I could look at, Kaushik as well, of course, and Coexistence Consortium for giving me this opportunity to share this insight with you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shayan.
Yes.
Yeah. Could we have you back on screen?
Just a minute. Just a minute. Where was it?
Yeah, you can just say stop sharing. That's all.
Yeah. So I think I'm not sure where I have stretched it, so I'm not able to find it now. Or I think I can do it from
You
here.
can,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yes, correct. That's right.
Hmm.
Great. So thank you very much once again for a very interesting talk. Of course, I know much of this work, but it's always nice to see or hear you every time because there's some insights which seem to appear again. And I think your thesis in which you talk about this work was fascinating because you actually bring in other than human actors, just as the solar fences, into play. And that was a very sort of a novel way to, I think, look at uh, multi species, multi object ethnographies. And so, thank you once again. We will now open up for discussion. So, you could either, if you could put up your hand or unmute yourself, and or you can send out your question in the chat.
Yeah, rather sorry. I'm just jumping in because I have to jump out quickly. It's
Sure.
Moyukin. Sign, great talk. I've just popped in a few questions. Maybe y'all can deliberate on it. I'll really have to jump out because of a back-to-back meeting. But I'll be very happy to chat with you outside of this later and then discuss, the project that I've been working on in Manas, which you know about already. And because it rings a lot with a lot of our observations from Manas as well. But then also discussing some things that we have done to kind of tackle some of the issues that say a conventional fencing brings about. Yeah, wonderful talk. Thank you for that, and thank you everybody, and bye bye.
Thank you,
Moyuk, you
Mehta.
had some, sorry, Moyuk, you had
Yeah,
some questions in the chat. Do you want to
yes.
briefly ask
Uh,
Shayon any of those?
Sure. So basically, I mean, perhaps not. It wouldn't be accommodated within this time that we have here because I have three main questions. One was I was curious to understand what the process of community integration was and how transparent that was at the outset. Because this is something, as Shayan mentioned, the Assam Hathi project, we learned from that from Goalpara and Sonitpur work that, one thing that was key is being very transparent right from the beginning. So when we kind of extended the work to Manas, that's something that we ensured. It almost took us 2 years to even begin planning what to do. And that was 2 years of constant dialogue with people across, I think, some 64 villages. Second bit was, where any efforts made to reinforce more traditional practices used by people. I mean, traditionally all across, when an elephant comes to your homestead, you just shoo it away, you chase it away using of course, it's a dangerous situation. But perhaps, they can be made safer and not shunned away altogether. Because again, this is the way I see it, at least, is hazing, for example, or shooing an elephant. It's a way of coexisting, in a way, and perhaps that those processes can be made safer and more approachable and acceptable, across the wider community. Um, and which towards which we have worked in Manas as well. So it'll be great if Sayan and I can talk about that later. And third is what's important again in Manas is, across the 25-kilometer stretch of the fence. What we've seen is there are 8 Makhnas that habitually come out and breach the fence and get into the crop fields and do what they were doing earlier on. So I was curious in science landscape if the focus of concern of local people has in any way shifted from elephants to individuals, and therefore personalities, because we are gradually seeing that shift in our landscape where people are now beginning to talk about individuals. They're giving names to these Makhnas, saying that this guy comes in, and there's almost an ascribing of personalities through names, which is, I think, very interesting in itself, because then there is also a rebuilding and reinforcing of a connect between people and elephants at that level. So yeah, so those were my three questions. It took a while to say that, but yeah, I'll be happy to hear what science says.
Thank you,
Has
Moyuk.
to say about it.
So, Shayon, would you like to respond?
Yeah. So it's, yeah, as Mehta said, that the initial stages of deliberation between the NGO and the community was the most important in terms of to make both of the actors to understand each other, and also to understand what the fence is all about. So for the NGOs, the fence is more techno-managerial, and it will create a product which kind of uh, I mean helps the elephants to be out of the village, and help the people to be in the village. For the people, as I said, the whole technicality of it was a bit uh, off. Only few individuals who were very who were a little bit educated could understand the whole circuits and all other things. But here the meetings also kind of had a lot of instances where the NGOs also talked about more emotive way of bringing those fences in the village. That if this is the only option left, this is a technology which is now kind of successful elsewhere. So can you also try this out? I'm sure that it will reduce your reduce damages in your life. So those aspects were kind of very attractive to the people, that okay, at least, and the premise that people can sleep at least 10 days in a stretch, a month in a stretch. It really kind of made people make people acceptable for the fence. What also we also observed is that these spaces were entirely male dominated. All the meetings were men who were attending, even though women were called up, because the NGOs will not call only men, they will call the community. But invariably the community is male dominated, so the men will only come and talk about their vulnerabilities and how to deal with that. But for example, here the women's vulnerability lies elsewhere. For example, in a different paper we had described that the women, even after the different kinds of interventions, have to go to the forest or the riverine spaces to collect fodder, fuel wood, etc., where they encounter elephants. So the fence actually reduced men's work burden of saving crops in the night, but it didn't actually cater to, say, women's needs in that way, right? So to the extent that men altogether stopped going to the crop guarding shelters after the fence came up. So even those that will also create some other chain of events, which we can discuss later. But the way the initial these meetings were kind of convened made possible the next stages, that what to do, how to do, and all these things. So if people don't understand the technicalities of it, so if the fence breaks down at some point, they will directly blame the NGO that they have given us substandard material, even though the fault is theirs. Maybe the earthing is not good, and or other things, right? So one aspect is that. Second, you asked about the reinforcing traditional practices. Yes, as I said, that if in a fenced village, supposing the fence is working well, so the elephants are not really entering. And as I said, that people actually stop going to the crop fields in the night after a month of successful fence operation. So they stop use this. The whole information network collapses, that where the elephant is moving, where the elephant is going, from which village to where. The entire thing collapses. But whenever elephants are kind of nearby, they use shouting, crackers, and everything. It's all traditional ways. There is nothing new that comes up. It's only the decibel level of those crackers go up, nothing else. Or a better torchlight which is now 2,000 rupees instead of 1,000 rupees. So otherwise, but in the unfenced villages, now there is a demand of such fences. That if they can get it, why can't we get it? Now for this particular villages, the NGO went and asked the community that, can you please put up this fence so that you get saved. Now after a month of operation in this village, the other villages are now demanding from the NGO that no, you have to come and give us, right? So now in those villages also, the whole traditional methods of mitigation also kind of goes down. It is not absent completely, but the demand now goes elsewhere, and this whole again creates other kinds of events, chain events, right? third individual elephant. So here, unfortunately, we don't have any tusker. So so kind of in identifying few individuals with tusks is absent. There are few maknas which has unusually large sizes, which are identifiable, and they have their own names, but these particular maknas do not come to these villages where I am the study of. So they don't really have individual maknas as such. Also, a reason being, all these kinds of breakages, all these kinds of things happen in night, which is very difficult to see what elephants is coming. But having said that, there is a tacit understanding that whenever a person is killed or a human is killed, the elephant is termed as Laden elephant. It's named after the Osama bin Laden. So any elephant which kind of kills human is a Laden elephant. So the kind of, whenever you open WhatsApp, and even right now it's 6:30, so my WhatsApp will be now pinging in the whole elephant group that elephant is here and there. So someone will write it is a Laden elephant that is coming. So so this way individuality also comes into picture, but not exactly with the fence right now.
Right. Thank you, Sayan. And there's loads to chat more, and obviously
sure,
there's no room for
sure.
it. We'll catch up
Thank you very
again.
much for your, yeah.
Thank you.
Are there more comments, questions? Nothing, no other question or comments? Bhavani, would you like to, do you have any particular questions that you would like to ask or a comment?
Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
you are.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much, Mr. Anindya, Sagarika, and Sayan. I've been attending other sessions also by other groups, but the kind of information shared by Sayan is amazing, simply amazing. Ground level information has been shared, and the way it has been shared, that is more impressive, very much articulated, and the quality of English, plus everything is so simple to understand. I would definitely like to get into details and see how I can contribute. I'll be very much happy to work with all of you here. So I like to maybe discuss offline, and in this, sir, and Sayan, you too, how we can be part of such initiatives. Thank you so much.
Sure, Ravanish.
Yes, sorry, were there other questions or comments? Yes. Is that you, Seema?
Yes. Hi.
Go ahead.
Stan, lovely talk. I just had this one question, which was, do the other interventions change once the solar fence has been up, or does the villagers have the same interventions? Because we did talk about the solar fence being broken multiple times, and following that, the interventions that they were doing earlier, do they remain same, or because of the solar fence, and are you talking about political ecology and getting into it, did the other interventions change just because now the solar fence is there?
Yeah. So what this particular NGOs that are working there, so the overall strategy remains almost same. It's same like when you go to a village and facilitate a meeting, many meetings with the community, and talk about different kinds of options available. So basically, it's like option A, option B, option C. So this option B has this pros and cons. Option B has this pros and cons. So the solar fencing came up in the areas which were really in the front of elephant movement zones and the first point of movement for the elephants. So what these NGOs did was that they did not provide any other kind of option in those meetings, that but for you this is the only option that is is viable, but they also made sure that such fenced villages which are already safe should not become another project village for many kinds of other interventions. So suppose since such fences cost around, say, if I'm not wrong, say 4 to 5 lakhs per kilometer. So it's quite a pricey affair for the NGOs as well. So what they decided is that, so the places where building a fence is difficult because of physical infrastructure or anything, other kinds of interventions will be tried more. For example, so the torchlight distribution, if you know that every year thousands, or I'm not sure if the number can go to millions also, that torchlights are distributed across the villages. So they've made sure that those torchlight goes to the villages which are unfenced. They developed a nursery and some afforestation efforts. So that is for another village which is still unfenced. So they have strategized in these aspects. On the gender part, so when I also highlighted this aspect of women not being in the meeting to these NGOs, as well as there was a article also in the popular media on this. So next, they started also meetings in the women-only spaces. So in that way, their meeting strategies changed, but however, the end product, the fence or anything, other things remain almost same. And you can, many people can vouch here as well that the whole livelihood as an intervention is now completely women-centric. And this has become women's work in the conservation, bring up livelihood in the whole conflict mitigation scenario. So the gender aspect is now treated in this way, basically. So what I'm trying to say here is, ultimately strategies have changed in certain ways, but the end product remains the same, that create a barrier between the elephant or the people, or kind of subsidize the loss created by the elephants. Yeah.
Thank you.
Shayan, thank you. Shayan, there's a question from Suma. I don't know whether you can see it in the chat, and I'll just quickly read it out. It says, it was a wonderful talk. It will be interesting to know what all are the Forest Department strategies to manage human-elephant negative interface, if there was any change in that after the NGO intervention. Was the NGO intervention anyway integrated with the FD, with the Forest Department strategies, or were they playing independent players, and did the Forest Department take cognizance of the NGO activities?
Right. So as with this particular forest division is a non-charismatic forest division. It is away from Kaziranga. It is away from Manas. So hardly people take pride that they are in this division, basically. So the department vehicle doesn't run, the ammunition doesn't work. All these things happen every year. So there are 2-3 main strategies. It's not a strategy. It's kind of again a reactive measure that are done by the forest department. Firstly, whenever they get a call from a village, they go to those villages to drive away the elephants with guns or whatever. And you can imagine in the season, from say in the elephant season, basically from say July till November end, they will get multiple calls every night, and they can't manage to go everywhere. So there are a lot of resentments among people that the forest department doesn't come to their rescue. But they go to some places if their vehicle and ammunitions are intact. That is first. Second is that the whole compensation system is managed by the forest department. That if you have lost your crop or house or life, you or your family member can come and give them an application for compensating, or what they call an ex gratia, not a compensation. So it's a humanitarian effort from the department. So if you are dead, your family member will get a compensation of say 5 lakhs in 1 or 2 months. If you have applied for crop or house damage, your money comes really late, even 4 to 5 years late. So which is again a point of resentment Now the whole alignment between NGO and forest department is have to be synergistic, because ultimately forest department is the main player. Even though within the whole fence installation scenario, forest department is nowhere, but the community and the NGO has to get some kind of clearance from the forest department that they're putting up such kind of fence in a village to safeguard elephants and etc. The forest department is very happy to when the NGOs are here, because a lot of their efforts are now being subsidized by the NGO. The whole awareness meeting, outreach, provisioning of materials, or many things are now catered by the NGOs, and the NGOs even provide, say, torchlight, boots, raincoats to the forest department personnel. So it's a kind of, in this way they function. They are the all-powerful almighty in this forest areas, but their work is very limited if you take conflict mitigation into account. On top of that, this is a territorial division, not a wildlife division. So the wildlife take a backstage in front of trees. Yes.
Thank you, Shan. Suma, is that fine? Or yeah, so I think Bhavani has a question again in chat. Is the electric fence lethal for human adults or kids or any other smaller animal? Any elephant death occurred due to electric fence? We hear tiger and elephant deaths due to electric current. Are these due to different sources of electricity?
So these are as I said, these are non-lethal fence. These are not lethal at all, because the voltage is less, and also this is an alternating pulse. So what you get is a shock, and when you get a shock, you just basically get a momentary kind of disorientment for physically or mentally, but within 2-3 minutes you are okay for human adults or kids. It's not lethal to any kind of animals. However, there are availability of substandard materials in the fencing, which are now being sold everywhere, which has a kind of higher voltages, even though they are non-lethal when touched. But if an elephant gets entangled into the fence, it will keep on getting that shock for a longer time. So it might be lethal. What also happens is that even though such fences are put up, suppose the battery is now damaged, or the whole setup is now damaged due to many other reasons, people also what they do is, some people, not even some individuals, they connect the overhead wire to these kind of fences and make it direct lethal fences. So for say 1 or 2 nights, unfortunately, if an elephant comes and touches those fences, even though this was a solar electric fence, they will die, because it is now connected to the high tension, the overhead wires. So in that way they can die, but otherwise these are majorly non-lethal.
Shayun, in this connection, I just wanted to ask a question. When I was there in Udalguri, I think Divakar Bhai told us, at least told me, that if you have these single wire fences, somehow the elephants are far more inhibited than if you have double wire fences. And I've long been thinking about this. Do you have insights into why?
I absolutely have no idea why they do that, because it is a common observation across for NGOs, for villagers as well. That I will give an example. Suppose I showed you the big tea estates in the blue polygon there. So all in these tea estates, the management, what they do is they enclose new plantations by solar fences, and the solar fences are like with concrete posts, with iron posts, with 5 strands, and elephants love breaking them. And in the morning time, they are not electrified. So you will every morning they will go and just push one concrete post and break all those fences just to go inside those new plantations, because those new plantations also have grasses and all. So, but on the just next to that tea estate, hardly 50 meters from that particular solar fence in the tea estate, there is this single strand fence given by the put up by the community for safeguarding their village. They never touch it, even though those fences are not electrified in the morning. So they never touch such fences, even though they love breaking these multiple strand fences in the tea estate in other places. So what a guess what people guess is that it is through their memory that in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000, there was when the elephant poaching was kind of high in terms of demand and all. And also there was a breakdown in forest governance across Bodoland and in Assam also due to many agitations. So people used to put up such fences, and due to very low investment, they could only put up one single fence and connect it to the battery and direct overhead wire. So many elephants used to die and still die, and most of the deaths also through electrocution also happens through these single strand fences, which
I
are
see.
connected. So probably a memory works in these social beings. This is a kind of guesswork, but no, I'm not sure at all, or I'm not sure if anybody knows for surety that why they show different behavior to these two kinds of fences.
Yeah, but and it can't be just memory, because clearly there are now newer individual elephants who have
Right,
come
right,
in,
right.
who may not have experienced this. So there could also be learning of social
Yeah,
avoidance,
yeah. It's
social
cultural
learning
learning.
of
Yes.
avoidance of these
Yeah,
fences.
yeah.
Shagurika, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, because I've also seen this with captive elephants,
I see.
because as part of my PhD research, I was actually doing experimental studies with elephants, and one part I didn't want them to cross, so I put this, it wasn't even a wire, it was like, one strand of rope, and all of them like acted like I had sort of, electrified the whole thing and given them a shock. They
I
just
see.
wouldn't come. So I don't know whether it is a
Ah,
perception thing, whether it is, a sensory thing, what it is. But I mean, it is a very sort of interesting observation, and,
yeah.
one which would be worth kind of exploring, because I just found it absolutely hilarious. And then I eventually had to remove that, because otherwise, my experiments just wouldn't happen.
So clearly, since these are a completely different population of elephants,
Yeah.
it's obviously, I would think there may be a cognitive hypothesis
Yeah.
that should come up.
Yeah.
So even just to add to that, before all these solar fences were in fashion in
Right,
Assam,
right.
so this communities or individual households, they all of them used to put up this, as Sagarika was mentioning, a simple wire
Mhm.
and put plastic sheets on those wires just to make them identifiable for the people. It is
Right.
not electrified at all. It is not connected to any kind of electricity. It's just around the house, the simple wire at a height of 5 to 6 feet, and it worked wonderfully well with at least 90% of elephants. They never cross those houses and
Amazing.
never touch those things,
Amazing.
even though it is completely unelectrified, nothing to do. Now this wire cost had gone up. Then now people started using the white plastic ropes
I see.
instead of those things. It worked as well.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure about what is happening in elephants world.
Has this ever been reported for African elephants, for example? Would you know?
I'm not sure, because I think all the fences in African cases are hi-fi.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't have too much time, but again, I think Bhavani has a question. He says he came across some reels wherein a drone buzzing, kind of a bee sound, was repelling elephants. Does this work? Are we using this technology in India?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have bee-based repellents available, either through sounds or through actual bees. But what happens is elephants gets accustomed to all this sound. They're neophobic, so they
Yes.
will be scared with new things. But once they understand that this doesn't
It will.
hamper them physically or mentally at all, they
Yes.
will be quite happy with those sounds around.
Yeah.
But the bee thing worked in the Africa to some extent because of a different bee species. Unfortunately, our bees sleep at night, so probably that didn't work really well here.
Yeah. And I think it was the bee stings that the elephants were avoiding more than the
Right.
sound. of course.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Shayan. I think
Thank
we're
you.
really
Yes.
running out of time, and we've already taken up quite a bit of your time. And so thank you very much. And I will now hand over to Sagarika to.
Thank you, Rana, for moderating for this beautifully. And thank you so much, Sayan, for joining us this evening. It was a great talk, and I think I think we rarely kind of ask these questions when we talk about creating barriers, right? It is just to kind of keep animals in and keep people out. But I think this whole perspective of what it actually does for the animals, what it actually does for the people and the communities, it's not as straightforward, right? I mean, it is quite complex. And I, thank you for kind of talking about that today, because I feel like these are conversations that really need to be had when we talk about human wildlife conflict and how do we mitigate that. So yeah, thanks for bringing that perspective. And just thanks for all the participants who stuck on. Yes, we did go a little bit over time, but I think it was a great engaging
Yeah, I think it
sort
was
of
done. Yeah.
conversation. So I don't think anybody minded. But thank you all for sticking on, and yeah, have a great evening.
And thank you very much, Seema, Sagarika, all the other Coexistence Consortium members who help organize these spectacular series. And we thank you.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
really
you so
grateful.
much,
Thank you very
Rana.
much.
Thank
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Lovely.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank
Shayan.
you.
And thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.